So that would be pretty exciting.
Okay. Well, let's go back here to Sue and then to Kim. And let me make one point before we move to you, Sue, and that is that on the environment, I think that so many business owners are too narrow when they're looking at their environment. You briefly mentioned substitute products. And so even in your business, as you're looking at the market, the environment, you want to look at, you want to just be aware of and think about other recreation, any other water-based recreation, and really broaden that
or
view.
Service.
Yeah, exactly.
Boat repair, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would be looking at, what is the competition for the dollar? So are they going to play tennis instead? Are people going to hike instead? Are they biking instead? And where can you pull people over from those activities to yours? So anyway, that's just a little side note on environment.
And provider.
Yes.
I mean, you're solving the problem of what am I going to do on the weekend or whatever that is, but you may have the resources to answer and provide solutions to other problems because your resources can carry over. And maybe it doesn't even have to do with boating.
Right.
Maybe it's something you do that applies to another sport.
And what a great thing to have some intro people like me that might be looking for a new
Which
thing
we are
to
doing
do.
that. We're gonna be doing a little paddleboard workshop with Amy, and I'll send everyone the invitation because it's a lot of fun. I was on the paddleboard this weekend, and we're just gonna do it just for fun for that exact reason.
She did it with a toddler on board. Not recommended.
Not recommended.
They wiggle too much.
Sue, let's bring it back to you. Question.
I forgot my question. Oh, no. I mean, we have 30 staff, so, and I think the secret to success is to be able to change. I mean, change is there. And the reason we're successful is because we have, we're so much more than a resale shop.
Yeah.
I mean, we constantly think outside the box. And what can we do to be the best women's boutique in St. Louis? And I think we've achieved that, anybody that's been in our store. But and I see the importance of focus groups and this type of thing, but it's been difficult for us because my staff, when I question them, I mean, we have regular staff meetings, but it's always like, oh, everything's great, and then I hear in the background, from 30, mostly women, we do have some young men, but, then I hear a little undercurrent. So I think that's important to do employees and customers. And do you conduct that? That's something that we can pursue with you because then we can select the customers
and that's what you're pointing to when we're talking about internal assessments and analysis versus external assessments and analysis, and it really is hard if you're the business owner, or if you're the one with the relationship. The clients or vendors and the employees, they won't tell you as much as they will tell an outside resource. You would be amazed at what they will tell an outside resource.
And you have to structure them absolutely perfectly too.
Yes.
Because if you have the wrong people in the room, they may also. Some that were structured. I had one employee come up to me before we had the focus groups, and they said, by the way, you may not know this, but this person's considered the spy for the owners. So I had to pull her out of the focus group, but I had to make her feel good, so I did a one-on-one interview. So there's a lot of things like who's in the room and how do you create those relationships. But I generally structure focus groups around what's called McKinsey 7S, where we talk about style, structure, strategy, a lot on skills, shared values, but one of the things I'll ask are what are the values of the organization that you all talk about and know, and then what are the actual values? And sometimes the actual values are very different, and so then you're looking at, okay, well, how do we bridge that gap? We need that alignment. They will notice broken processes, or we're incented to do things that reduce risk, not serve the customer. And so you could find some things that you're doing as a store that are actually getting in the way of serving the customer, and you're not even aware of it.
Absolutely. You mentioned McKinsey 7S's, and that was one of the things that I loved about Loriana's class and pursuing my master's is that there are some really solid academic there's really probably more management consulting tools that are used in the academic setting that small business owners don't know about unless they have that training, and they're not utilizing, and they're really simple. So you could take the McKinsey 7S as an example and just go Google that and look that up. And you'll find tons of material, including who McKinsey was, although you could probably tell us, right?
That's McKinsey Consulting Company.
Okay.
Another one you might look is just Porter's 5S or
Five forces.
5 forces model, which I actually say there's 6.
Right.
Because the government
You added
is a
this.
force.
That's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, McKinsey
one.
7S and Porter
My
5
Porter.
forces or Porter 6 forces. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when I researched that online, there's
And people debate
Both.
what the 6th is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, because also technology. Didn't some people add technology as the 6th?
Well, and also I think it was some internal customer. There's
Okay, yeah.
So it's
Anyway, so I
it's
love
classic.
those academic tools, and I have found that going to class here at WashU, I'm using those literally the next day with my clients. Like the value curve. I love the value curve tool. Again, you could research that.
That's a fun one.
That's great. It helps me reposition actually Kangaroo Kids. It's a local resale store, and we have repositioned them to totally leverage their breastfeeding support, because when we looked at the environment, there was a huge opportunity to carve out that niche a little more fully. Kim, you had a question.
So I have a question about determining a target market.
Okay.
For my business, it changes seasonally, and it can be a retail customer, but it can be a event planner, or corporate planner, or a wedding planner, or it can be a corporate for the holiday gift giving. So is there a formula or a strategy? Like, how do you determine what is my? Because I am that person. I mean, I don't have the funds to
Right.
pay a marketer or do tons of advertising research and that kind of stuff. So how do you decide what is your best, I guess, target market?
And before you answer that
Yes.
question, the time is now 10 a.m.
Okay.
So we were slated to be together from 9 to 10. So if anyone needs to leave, please feel free. Otherwise, if we can take 10 more minutes and then wrap up, we'll wrap up at 10:10. Okay.
And I'll be hanging around for as long as you
Yes.
want to talk. So that's fine. That's not something you can it's a longer
that's-
conversation, but part of
So
it
we've
is.
got 10 minutes.
I think,
You can sum it up quickly, just say,
Yeah, I would think part of it is I would look at your current revenue stream and where money's coming in. I would look at how you're differentiating yourself from other providers of what you do and what makes you different. And so where is there opportunity in the market that maybe is not being seized? I would look at customer feedback and find out from them if you're finding out from customers that there's one segment that you particularly excel at, that might suggest that you move into that market. But you're also looking at where your profit is. I mean, if one segment is pulling you in, but you're not making any money there, that suggests something too. So you've got to look at, it's a combination. And it's kind of sticky, but it doesn't mean you can't do it yourself. I think you just got to kind of get all that data on the table and just be really aware. And that's where, if you look at that, Porter's 5 forces and some of
Yes.
what's going on, I think that's going to help you.
Yeah.
And also, if you look at, it's called either strategic mapping or value curve, I
Right.
think that could help you too a little
Yeah.
bit.
Thank you.
Sure.
Dana.
I thought maybe if I shared some of my own experience, it might help in some way with that. I have a digital marketing company, Media Flashpoint, and I spent quite a bit of time 2 years ago determining who my target market was. And I thought I really was on target. But in the last year, I've been working on a new startup company that's related but really, really different in a more medical environment and marketing environment. And I'm trying to get investors. So I had to do a really detailed business plan and a really detailed who is my user and who is my payer, who's my real customer. And what I found, and I hope I'm not contradicting what you said earlier, Erin, when you said think about expanding, because what I found is, even though I thought I'd really narrowed my target market with my marketing company, I'm discovering that I still was shotgunning it even in that narrow space. And as I'm learning more how to target more narrowly, my marketing for my digital company is much more strategic,
Focused, effective.
for certain markets, I've defined now certain markets and how I'm going to market to that audience. And I feel like I'm a better business person on my digital company, marketing company, now that I've had this other experience. And if I could share one other thing that, I hope you guys don't mind, but this was huge eye-opener experience for me this year. But the other thing I learned is from the startup experiences, I had some help with doing my pro forma financials. And the Small Business Association, it will help you, and I have a lot of contacts now if anybody's interested. And this one guy gave me this wonderful Excel formula for, my income, my revenues, my output, my balance sheet, my cash flow. And what I discovered is, for my new businesses, I was going along just great with my pro forma financials, and then when I got this new formula with cash flows, I discovered I have to get a lot more startup money than I thought, because nobody's paying in 30 days anymore.
Right.
So I put it as a 60-day, and I'm not sure that's even enough anymore. I put it at 60 days, and that really blew out my cash flow. So, and that's educated me so much. As a small, I own just my own small business too, on the media front, and it's really changed my thinking and my approach, and I hope that helped people in some way. But I have.
Did you use SCORE advisors, or
No.
you used to use folks at the SBA?
Well, I also. I got in a couple of entrepreneur development programs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I can send you all links to some of this stuff. I know some of the programs you're in, and I have, we can direct folks to SBA and SCORE and some of the programs that you're in. That's great. And my point, just to speak to what you were saying about narrow versus wide, I am a huge proponent and work quite a bit with business owners on target market. Defining the target market, aligning the company with the target market, the branding, and everything about the company. My point about the analysis and looking at the competitors has to do more with the external analysis. So you have to look at all of that to determine where is there an opportunity. And how do we stack up against the competition? So I'm not at all suggesting or proposing a wide market. That might be right in some situations, but usually not.
And your strengths will help determine where you're going to narrow. I'm finding with Bonsai, which, by the way, the name is because I learned this out when I went to the National Arboretum. Is when they do bonsai, they think of the tree as it should look in life, and you're trimming with the visual of where you want it to look like as the big tree on the little tiny tree. And that's kind of like the idea with life, is you have that vision of yourself, and you're working with someone to help do some of that pruning to create the vision of the future. So that's where bonsai came from.
Well, and that's a great example of alignment. Your branding and your naming is aligned with really who you are and what you're really about and what you're interested in, and your focus on younger people. So that's a good example. I love that.
But it's even within looking at if I'm going to coach undergrads, I think I'm going to focus now on just business undergrads, because that's where my expertise is, or agriculture, because
and then you can be known as an expert in that versus an expert in all undergrads. How do you become an expert in all undergrads?
And especially in today's world, it's harder to be broader. I think there's just so much out there. One thing I did was think about retreat. I would really encourage you all to do mini retreats. I had
as
mentor,
individuals or as companies?
As an individual. I have a mentor that really believes, she's at Duquesne University, but not only having my own business I know is really hard to do, but I am absolutely devoted to balance now in my life. Taking at least a day a week off to not work, keep that laptop shut down, but once a quarter, taking a weekend to get away, to be silent.